Hello, welcome to Ukraine Today. I'm Vladimir Solokhub. Join me now to discuss some of the legislative initiatives of the Ukrainian Parliament is the MP Alexander Urbansky. Mr. Urbansky, welcome to Ukraine Today.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Urbansky, you are one of the co-authors and also promoter of the new draft bill on inland waterways. Why is this bill important at this particular moment?
Well, first of all, this bill shows in real times that Ukrainian Parliament is eager and willing, and actually not only in words but in real actions, making some changes in the country, because this is sort of the bill that shows that we are doing some reforms. This is a very unique thing for Ukrainian transport system. In this bill, which is called, as you said, it's called bill on the law on inland waterways, also known under the registration number of 2475A. It opens the inland waterways of Ukraine, our rivers, for ships under the foreign flags. It enables the cargo owners to ship their goods down the river or up the river, mostly in this case down the river. Also, it will enable some other industries such as ship repairs, shipbuilding, to be sort of in the scope of development as well.
Mr. Urbansky, I understand that the concept of this law is to connect the Baltic Sea and the Black Sea via riverways. And to do that, well, first of all, you need the support and cooperation with other countries. And also from Ukraine, you need a lot of investment. Do you think the country has this money?
Thank you for bringing up this question. Yes, there is a corridor which is called E40 corridor. It's from Baltic to Black Sea via Belarus and Poland, and from a starting point of River Dnieper up to the port of Gdansk, we will be able to ship our cargoes. This law will develop rivers inland of Ukraine. So that will be a good indicator for our European partners that Ukraine is not just, just for say a transit country, but it will show that we are indeed a good, reliable transit partner for European countries. First of all,
can we go into the details? What needs to be done in terms of infrastructure to do this, to have this connection?
In terms of infrastructure, there is only one segment on the river that we need to be dredged in order to have a proper draft for barges and tugs to be able to pass through. In our part of this corridor, well, I'm talking about the River Dnieper actually, we need to be dredging, we need to take care of our hydro infrastructure, well, locks on the river, and that will show our potential of being able to transship this much of cargoes, because this waterway will enable to ship around, well, this is just a slight estimate, around 4 million tons of any cargoes through these rivers annually.
How does it connect to the Baltic Sea? Through which river?
Wisla. It's through Poland. So, in Poland, it's River Wisla.
So this dredging needs to happen between the
between Belarus and Poland. When there is a river in Belarus which flows into the Wisla, there is only a small part of it has to be dredged.
Do you have the understanding from these countries that they are willing to do that?
Well, to be honest,
that's their sovereign territory.
To be honest, that when this bill was presented last year in Black Sea Security Conference, which was held in Odessa, I did spoke to some of the European ambassadors which were present there. They did like the idea. So I think that Belarus will not be against that as well, because it will give them a strong, push in development of their river infrastructure and also the shipping companies. So I think this understanding will be achieved, but in order to start talking about it, we need to make a first step. So this law and passing of this law will be this first step that I'm talking about. So we need to have the initiative, we need to develop this initiative, we have to give this like kickstart for further conversations.
So what does this law give?
for Ukraine. For Ukraine is, as I said, it will enable our development of our river infrastructure. First of all, this is the river terminals. We will be able to take a better care of our hydraulic system.
By development, do you mean building or?
Building, of course, and development of the existing ones.
Who has to build them?
First of all, it will be private investors, because the government in this case, and the law offers for the government just to have the regulatory state of this on the river. So it's like security. We have to enable cargo owners, ship owners to be, controlled, if you can say, in some legislative form. The government will just have like controlling and legislative initiative there. The estimation of investment in this, in our part of that, in the River Dnieper, inland waterways, it's around $2 billion US dollars, which is also, involves such as like shipbuilding, as I said, ship repair, also development of terminals, building new ones.
Are there already potential investors who are ready to invest into this project?
When we were developing this law, we had a lot of meetings with cargo owners, mainly the grain trading companies. Some of the ship owners who operate on rivers at the moment, and also European Business Association really helped us to find some connecting with European legislation in this case. And yes, the existing cargo owners are very interested in that, because as we know, Ukraine is a good and big producer of grains. We, like in sunflower oil, we have like a first place in the world in exporting sunflower oil. We ranking like from in top 5 anyways in trading grains, like different types of grains, like give us different positions, but still in like all in all we're in the top 5. And grains is the most sort of exported cargo. Grain is the most exported cargo at the moment, and grain trading companies are very interested in that, because a lot of grain is being transported from this middle part of Ukraine and northern part of Ukraine via railway transport and inland transport, such as trucks, and taking in consideration not very good condition of our roads, and these trucks are being overloaded, so they are carrying like 40-50 tons and they ought to carry 20. This law will allow cargo owners to ship it by river to the sea terminals, and we can take this part of this huge part of grain trade from land to water, enabling us to develop our road infrastructure and like building roads, and not like we build it this year or repair it this year after these trucks have been like driving like with 50 tons on them. They are also demolished again.
Mr. Urbansky, how much of support do you have for this bill in the Parliament, and what is the current stage? Well,
our committee, the Transport Committee, I'm a member of the Transport Committee, I'm head of the subcommittee of Sea River Transport actually. It was voted by the majority of votes in the committee. So we already registered that in the Parliament, and as far as I'm concerned, and as far as I've talked and explained this idea to my colleagues in the Parliament, I think that when it will be in the sort of schedule for voting, I think this bill will be passed quite easily in the first reading, definitely. After
when do you plan to put on this?
Hopefully as soon as possible, but we really have like a target to pass it in this session, first reading, and second session, second reading, which will be like in autumn. Mm-hmm. Hopefully this year this law will be implemented and we will start developing this infrastructure and shipping.
Going back to this project, looking at it as a whole with the other countries, and talking about money, you said that investment in Ukraine alone requires $2 billion US dollars. What about other countries? What about the investment in the Belarus? How expensive will it be for Belarus to dredge this canal, basically between the Dnipro and the Wisla?
You know, I'm not too qualified to answer that question because, well, this evaluation has to be done by Belarus partners. And I think that, as I said, you know, when we will give this kickstart for the development of this corridor E40,
You're basically hoping they will jump on board.
Of course, I'm not hoping. I'm pretty sure that they will. And then, when it will happen in Ukraine, we will show them that okay, you now can use it, and it will be such and such investment. You need such and such things to be done, and this will cost you this much to transship it through Ukraine. Then it will, business will, money talks, you know, and business will go into detail, and they will develop that quite fast, I'm sure, because like, well, processes in Belarus, you know, concerning like government development, they take not quite a long time.
Yes, interesting and ambitious project, but looks like still a lot of work needs to be done, including with.
Of course, I didn't say that, and I'm not saying that this is very easy to implement. A lot of work has to be done. We will have to talk to our European colleagues and partners, definitely. And actually, this law, which was developed by our committee and our parliamentaries, we used support of German Ministry of Transport, American, also.
Yeah, the support from
from US. They shared their experience, like in Mississippi River, for instance, how it's done there and how it is like implemented and how it's governed there. So we already talked to the Western colleagues about that.
Well, Mr. Urbansky, indeed, this is a very interesting project, and we'll be following this development really closely. Thank you very much for finding the time to come and talk to us. We were discussing the draft bill on inland waterways with Ukrainian MP, Mr. Alexander Urbansky. I'm Vladimir Solokhub. Thank you for watching Ukraine Today.